You know, as a Latin person, you know, minorities, black people have to do it as well. We have to immerse ourselves in white culture and learn about white culture, and it's all we were taught in school and in movies, and so we learn, but it's not reciprocal. You know, it's not a reciprocal thing that happens, that white culture wants to learn about Latin culture or black culture. But there are a few. There are a few. Jane Elliott being one of the great ones. I mean, tackling it in my industry, it's like Hollywood's Oscar's so white, that which was the symptom of a disease, which is Hollywood is not making movies or being conscious about including Latin and black people in their movies when we're almost 50% of the population. So it's a very unbalanced representation of reality, and you know, causes great harm, especially for youth who need to see themselves in movies. I think it's about the work needs to be done is not so much understanding people of different ethnic backgrounds as much as giving them the jobs. That's really it, because we're all really the same. We're just slightly different, you know, flavors and slightly different colors. But I think it's all about giving those jobs and people rise up to the occasion. I mean, that's all you got to do. And it's interesting because I just did my show. I'm doing it in Berkeley, and they brought this group of high school kids, and some of them were Latin, and they were just flabbergasted, the kids, seeing a Latin person performing on stage. They'd never been to the theater, never seen a Latin person on stage, and it just changed their whole entire perspective. They all of a sudden felt like they could do it, you know, and it was a beautiful thing. And just by organizations opening up and giving the opportunities, that's how these things happen. It's kind of like Viola Davis said, the reason she won that Emmy was because somebody finally gave her the role that she needed to win, because she's always had the same talent and she's always been around, but finally somebody wrote the right role that was ample enough for a person of color to win an Emmy. I mean, there's a lot of issues or aspects of myself, because, you know, I'm also from a lower class socioeconomic group, and that has a lot to do with differences too, you know. I mean, the fact is that Latin and black people are mostly in the lower socioeconomic groups, so you have that cultural gap. It's an economic gap. Culturally, I mean, I guess so the socioeconomic group in America becomes also your ethnic and cultural group, and so yeah, when in certain groups, you want to that are mostly predominantly white, you want to appear predominantly white, so you try to use their lingo and try to use their terminology and the way they speak, you know. Like I'm talking to you a little bit more right now. I'm talking to you with my whiter side of myself more. And then when I'm with my friends from high school and we're all like Latin and from a lower socioeconomic group, you know, we'll go back to the lingo that we used, you know, like a little more street, a lot more Eubonic, a lot more Latin words, you know, because we know we understand each other, and there's shorthands, and that's what we do, you know. I mean, luckily, you know, when I was trying to be an actor, yeah, you know, it was really difficult because they weren't really, when I started out, they weren't really casting Latin people, so, and I had worked real hard to cover, you know, to pass, is what I would say more, pass as opposed to cover. But I'm sure that goes on too, you know, and I had to try to clean my speech, change it, you know, so that it didn't have such a street accent. And but it didn't matter because I was still recognized visually as a Latin person. So even if I changed the way I sounded or the way I behaved, it didn't matter because I wasn't going to get cast in those roles anyway because I identify as a Latin person. So then I gave up, and I was like, you know what, forget it. I'm not going to try to fit in. I'm going to stay the way I am, and I'm going to write for my culture. So I started to write for people like myself who grew up the way I grew up. And so people of my socioeconomic group and black people and Latin people and some white people that grew up in my socioeconomic group identify with me, and that's the people I was talking to. I've been an outsider, you know, and continue to be an outsider, but and that being an outsider always gives you a great artistic point of view, because you can see things and comment on things. And then trying to be white made me an outsider in the hood, because I'm no longer as hoodie as I used to be. So I can hear that I sound very different. So that makes me an outsider even in my own community. So then I can watch them too, you know, and you can become a great observer. And the outspokenness just came out of, I'm not sure what that came out of. Mostly a necessity, a need to hear articulated my experience that I wasn't hearing articulated anywhere. So I think I became sort of a spokesperson just by wanting somebody to fill in that space for me, and nobody was filling it for me. So I wanted to hear and see somebody explain what it's like to be a person like myself going through the things that I'm going through. We've known for decades that black people and Latin people have been accosted harshly by police, and nobody believed it. Nobody believed it. They just, you know, thought we were crying wolf. And now, because of technology and cameras everywhere, you see what's going on. It can't be hidden anymore. Oh, I don't think America is as divided as it was in my childhood. I think it's much more unified and much more open and much more inclusive, and consciously trying to be inclusive. I mean, there are some forces, Trump supporters being one, that feel that xenophobic and wanting to, you know, marginalize people and separate. But I think the rest of the country is much more progressive, and things are changing, and people do care a lot more. And I think America is one of the more progressive, still the greatest country in the world that way, you know? I mean, it's a place where, I mean, our president is black. We're going to have a woman president next. I mean, we had 2 Latin candidates, even though they were on the wrong side. We had a Jewish candidate as well. I mean, it's been an incredible electoral cycle, really exciting, and really progressive. So I think things are way different. And the beautiful thing is that Latin people are going to decide who the next president is, and we count and we're important. And to me, that's part of the new America.